There was a after-school special style made-for-TV movie made in 1990 called Brother Future, which was basically a kill whitey propaganda piece, you know, black slavery torture porn, but also, well, kind of glorifying a would-be mass murderer, which we'll get into in a moment. But first, without further ado, I give you the opening of Brother Future. Now, the funniest part about this isn't that the guy is in the trash can, or that they never explain why he's in a trash can. They never go back to this. But that the black guy in the trash can, your first thought is, oh, he's probably hiding from the cops or something. No, we don't actually never find out why he's in the trash can. But what he's looking at, of course, is white people. White people stealing. The innocent black man in the trash can, which again, we never understand why he's there, or I don't even think, or who he is. He's observing these evil white men stealing electronics from an electronics store. And wouldn't you know it, as they're stealing, they run in to get more stuff. A black guy, because you gotta understand, he's not actually stealing from the electronics store. He's just stealing from the white people who are stealing from the electronics store. So it's okay. It's morally okay. And it's kind of funny because you'll see that he's stealing an NES, like an original Nintendo with the zapper and some JVC audio equipment. And he goes to sell. Whoops, I went way too far over there. That's great. We got a little magic Negro there. He goes to, man, nothing's fucking working tonight. I'm gonna fucking freak out pretty soon. I'm like lose my shit here in a second. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna lose my shit in a second. I'm about to scare all the bees within a 100-mile radius. All right, so he goes and he resells the goodies that he has stolen from the white people.
Right now, this is the sweetest deal in Detroit, brother. $70. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Thank you, brother.
Oh, TJ, man, this is fresh. Where you get all this stuff?
Don't worry about it.
You stole it.
Hey, brother, you can't steal something that's already been stolen.
Word.
You can't steal something that's already been stolen. Word. And this obviously gives him the opportunity, because this is, usually when you watch these things, it's easy to tell if it's for black people or white people. This is definitely made for black people, but it's also, just because of the audience share, it's going to be seen by lots of white people. So they have to try to connect to the audience, and this is their opportunity to let them know, no, we're hip, we're cool, this is 1990. We know all about rap and shit.
Your money is paper and paper is wood. But in your pockets, it's doing no good. But in my hands, it will feel so right. And these jamming sounds will rock all night. See, they call me the peddler for reasons different and same. I'll always be the winner of this here game. You ain't got a lot of time, so waste it not. You get to get, and I'll get to God. Word.
Word to the motherfucker. So, they're really cool. The producers, they'd let you know, we're all hip to this rap thing. So this guy, I think his name's supposed to be TJ, the guy with they both have hats. The guy on the left, stealing the guy who stole the NES and the JVC stereo from the evil white burglars and selling it out of the trunk of his car. He then starts to talk to his learned friend, his scholarly friend, about how he has to learn how to make money on the streets like he has. That school is for losers. And that if you really want to make it in the world, then you got to learn how to steal Nintendos from white burglars and then sell them out of the trunk of your car. That's the pathway to the real dollar bills, y'all. Word. And his teacher is fed up because she's like, oh, you never pay attention. Not even when it's Black History Month. As you can see on the chalkboard, she's like, Black History Month, we're going to learn all about black heroes. And you ain't paying no attention.
TJ.
What's up?
TJ, you've got a brain. Why won't you use it?
Debatable. But yeah, TJ, you got to use your brain. It's Black History Month. we're all supposed to go home and write a report on our favorite Black history person. So it's probably going to be about peanut butter. But he's not interested at all. He's like, you know what? Fuck this school shit. I'm going to instead go into the hallways and I'm going to sell fake hall passes to people and make some money on the side because I'm always scheming. That's the only way a brother can get up in the world is by scheming, slanging, and shit. Word. But then he's out on the street after school talking to his scholarly friend. He's still trying to give him the lowdown and saying, yo, B, don't you know? You got to sell the shit. You can't be going to school like no fool. And they're like, ah, shit, I think the cops are coming.
Hey, you! Freeze! Up against the wall. You have any identification on you?
Motherfucker broke the space-time continuum and shit. I bet you guys know where this is going.
I got you now. Man, what's up, man? Where am I? Who are you?
He ain't the one.
Where's Crunch?
What you mean he ain't the one?
The one what?
Turner, look at the clothes on this one.
Yo, what about?
He ain't had on no clothes like that.
Yo, look, man. You guys undercover? I ain't got no stuff on me, man. You can frisk me.
Shut up.
Shut up, nigga. We ain't got no.
So you got the super ignorant hick white people chasing the runaway slave, and they come across TJ, and they're like, oh, you got them future clothes on. What you doing with them future clothes on, boy?
What you got on future clothes? Oh,
So they obviously immediately decide, well, we've found this strange Negro on the ground here, so I guess we're just going to go take him to the slave market and sell him, because that's how it worked.
What is this?
We go on the market, boy. Get you a new owner.
How far to Charleston?
4 or 5 miles. That's right, boy. Boy, shut up, boy, with your future clothes and your wacky sunglasses.
So they take him to Charleston, and while he's in Charleston, he sees a newspaper, and he's like, oh my God, it's 1822. 1822? I'm in Charleston in 1822? This ain't good. South Carolina? That ain't no safe place for no nigga. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. So they throw him into this, I don't know, like slave containment facility. And it's like, oh, it's so sad. Look, there's like a mama and her baby. A mom and her baby just all sad and been about to get sold to the slave auction. And then this guy with this ridiculous collar, he's just despondent. He's just like, oh, I got this ridiculous fucking collar on. Oh. And he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's like, fuck, man. I want out of this place. This is like a nightmare. So I want to wake up. How come I can't wake up? Mama, wake me up, mama. And then it cuts to the evil, cackling white people just walking about with their fancy clothes at the farmer's market going, oh, those Negroes. Can't wait to buy me some Negroes here at the Negro sale. I want to get me one of them strong, beastly Negroes.
Get out of my way.
Out of my way, Negro.
Going to the governor's conference.
Well, that depends. I've worked to oversee on the plantation. Cotton yet to harvest, list and drill a new crop. We gotta beat the slaves to get a good day's work out of them. That's right. You gotta beat them slaves. You gotta give them a nice whooping. You gotta beat the shit out of them if you want them to work, them slaves. 'Cause I'm evil McWhiteman. Let's go to the very not Jewish-sounding slave auction. Let's go to the Hewlett and Bright, unless they're talking about Larry Brilliant, not very Jewish-sounding. Let's go buy some Negroes. I'm fixing to get me some extra Negroes for the plantation where I beat them. I beat them, I say. I gotta beat them.
What are those? Take them off. Take them off!
Take off them future sunglasses, boy.
Where you from, boy?
Not from around here. This must be a nightmare.
Now, let me move up here. Now, let's start this at $625. $625. Yes, thank you. Now, who will give me $700? $700. Let's keep this bidding up, folks. This man is strong. Look.
These are some unrealistically high prices. $700? $700. Hold on, we're gonna do inflation calculator here. $700 in 1822. I feel like you could buy Charleston for like the entire town for $700. Let's see here, inflation calculator. $700 in 1822. What would that cost? Let's see here, $700. Actually, I don't know if it'll work because all these calculators don't go back that far. No, it only goes to the Federal Reserve, 1913. Well, anyway, needless to say, unless I'm wildly wrong about what dollars were like prior to the Federal Reserve, $700. See, it's a little rich, little high.
You can see he's fathered a healthy child. This man is prime stock. You bring in your cut. How about $800? Can I have I got $800. How about $825? No, $825, $825. $800 going once, going twice. Sold to that gentleman for $800. Come on, get it. Got a second.
Oh, yes. Slather that white guilt on. Wear it like a skin suit. Make it your entire identity. That's right, the white people are just ruthlessly tearing families apart. For the fun of it, really. I mean, this was like a fancy afternoon in the city. Let's see if we can rip some Negro families apart.
Just what is it you're looking to buy here anyway?
Mr. Meese, I always buy my slaves as I buy my livestock. Best quality for the dollar.
That's right, I always, I buy my slaves like I buy my livestock. So there, obviously the evil top hat wearing slave master guy that's the same guy from before that was like, hey, you gotta give him a good beating. You gotta make sure you draw blood if they're gonna be picking their cotton.
Gentlemen, the next one is a stray. Like nobody worked this boy anyplace. His hands are soft. Must have kept him in the kitchen. Step up here, boy. Step up here.
Get up there, boy!
He's young. He's alert. It'll take a little discipline. This could turn out to be a good one, folks. Who'll offer me $100? Let's start this boy off at $100. Who'll give me $100? Who'll start this boy? Let's start him off at $100. Now, who'll offer me $125? There, well, now there's a man who knows good quality when he sees it. Now $150. Can I have $150? Please. $125 going once, going twice, going 3 times. Sold to that gentleman for $125.
Oh, no. See, another reason I think they used those, because again, I think the audience was supposed to be black people. And white people, I think, would understand the whole inflation thing. They'd understand that, like, if you said like $20 or whatever, they'd be able to, it's because it's 1822, right? Black people, I don't think they would put that together. So I guess it's like an effort to try to translate it into, we got to use numbers that they'll understand. We got to, they'll understand that, the price of a slave is in 1990s money, like which still seems a little high. I don't know. I've never bought me a slave. I guess I need to go to Charleston. I need to get hit by a car and go back in time. So he gets sold off. And, of course, they have a midget. Gotta have the midget. Yeah. So they got the fancy black midget. The fancy black midget that signs over the slave to the plantation owner. He's like, here you go, sir. Or I'm sorry, here you go, sir. And then he brings his newly purchased slave over to one of his other slaves. And while he's over there getting ready to be taken to the plantation, he meets a man. He meets a man that is a freed slave. And he's like, I'm a freed slave, and it's really, really a shame what's happened to you. Oh, that's too bad, brother. We'll have to make sure we can free you. And the person that he meets, because he says his name, he's like, oh yeah, my name's Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like the guy who made peanut butter. I'll have to look up who this guy is. Denmark Vesey. I'm assuming it's such a peculiar name. My guess is, especially given the fact that they're focusing so hard on the Black History Month thing, that this is probably some Black History guy. Maybe he worked for the Underground Railroad, right? He was one of these guys that would help slaves go, smuggle them to the north. something like that. I'm picturing some kind of, run-of-the-mill slave era black hero. Yeah, a little different than that, actually. Little different than that. You see, Denmark Vesey was inspired by the slave revolt in Haiti. The slave revolt in Haiti, where they murdered every single white person in Haiti, every last one, and then turned Haiti into Haiti. You know that slave revolt that happened in Haiti? Denmark Vesey was inspired by the genocide of all of the whites in Haiti. And he was plotting the genocide of whites in South Carolina. He thought that if he got enough slaves together and they smuggled weapons into the area and they worked with the former slaves now in Haiti, they could kill all the whites in Charleston. This was his plan. All of them. All of the whites. They could then hijack a ship and then sail to Haiti. That was the plan. And this is the guy they have decided to highlight in this movie. A man who planned to genocide every man, woman, and child in South Carolina. Well, every white man, woman, and child in South Carolina, or not South Carolina, but Charleston. And then hijack a ship and sail to Haiti. So anyway, so I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting, I guess. How are they going to tell this story? How are they going to, make that sound okay? Because that's pretty intense. That's an interesting choice for your after-school special. Again, you could have just gone with someone, you could have gone with like the Underground Railroad guy, but the white genocide guy, okay. All right. So TJ hops on the wagon with the slave that was already a slave of that evil plantation owner guy, and he rides back to the plantation. Meanwhile, Denmark Vesey, you see the first meeting where at first they make it sound like maybe it is kind of like an Underground Railroad kind of a thing, where they're secretly meeting and they're like, oh, we can't let the white people know what we're up to. And he has different slaves from different walks of life. He's got one of the governor's slaves meeting in there. He's got the inside scoop. He makes some mention about, does the governor know yet? Well, that's good that we know that he doesn't know anything yet. And other slaves that are in strategic positions around the city. And at this point, though, they're still making it seem kind of mundane. So I'm like, maybe they're probably. That'd be weird if they said he was going to kill all the whites. I don't know. That seems a little hardcore. Upon arriving at the plantation, of course, TJ is shocked to find that the living conditions are horrendous, and he can't believe the amount of work that he's forced to do. Being a hoodlum from Detroit, he doesn't like work. He likes sleeping in. He doesn't like going to school. He just likes making an easy buck. And so when he finds out he has to pick cotton until his hands bleed because he's got baby soft hands instead of the work-worn hands of a slave, he is depressed. And you, of course, have all the torture porn with the Negro spiritual in the background as he's working away. Oh, yes. And it's hard work. And his eyes are opening to the dark chapter in his people's history. He meets the overseer, which is like the house Negro. The house Negro he likes massa. And so massa gives him the fancy clothes. He gets to go to the big house and get the fancy food and wear the fancy clothes because he likes massa. And he's still trying to adjust, being treated differently.
Get off the steps, boy.
Zeke told me to come and get his food.
Bill slaves go around the back. Not the kid.
So he gets told off by some mulatto chick who is working in the kitchen, and she's also a house slave. But she realizes, something's different about this guy. Something's different about this guy. I can sense it. I can tell he doesn't really belong here.
You know, I do most of my thinking with this. You know, back in the hood.
The magic Negro.
Yeah, you like to scheme on things. 7 Crunch don't like to take risks like you do.
How'd you know that? How do you know about Crunch?
I know lots of things.
The magic Negro.
So, of course, you've got the literally magical Negro that has psychic powers, and she's like, I can tell by touching your hands that you ain't supposed to be here. You ain't supposed to be here. We got to help you get out of here. Let me hold your head in my hands and summon the powers of the magic Negro and try to determine your destiny. What you doing here, boy? What you doing here, boy? We gotta figure you out. We gotta see what you got to do here in the past, cause you's from the future. So then he starts to adjust to slave life. In fact, he starts to even, to some extent, enjoy the camaraderie that he can find among his brothers and sisters, dancing and singing with the brothers and sisters. Speaking of sisters, he tries to hit on some slave chick, but she's not having any of that because she's actually the girlfriend of, I don't know, like Jebediah or, I don't know, Josiah, I don't know, some stupid name, it doesn't really matter. Some name that starts with J. The slave from the market that took him to town, or took him to the plantation. And he comes around and he has to tell her something really important.
Looking for you. Thought maybe something wrong.
I had to fetch some things from Master Cooper. Still need putting away.
Making you work on Sunday. It ain't right.
Ain't nothing right about our lives, Caroline. What difference does Sunday make? We're slaves. We ain't supposed to be slaves. We're supposed to be free.
One day, Josiah, God's gonna see to it.
Didn't Mark Visa say that time coming?
I hope it comes soon.
No, the time exactly for what? You guys still haven't really quite clarified that yet. I mean, I know, because I'm from the future. So I know what Denmark Vesey had in mind, but you guys aren't quite being very clear about that. Again, interesting choice, but apparently the time's coming. The time is coming. And then, of course, they get it on because, you got to have the slave sex scene in there. Meanwhile, the cotton isn't going to pick itself.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank you, God Almighty! We are free at last!
All right. Well, not yet. Not yet. So lots of really long shots with the sad music and the white guilt hammer coming down hard. But again, you got to wonder, like, who's the audience for this? Obviously, like I said, demographically, in 1990, we had a lot more whites, percentage-wise, subjected to this. But still, this is something that all the black kids are watching. And it's just letting them know that, Whitey was essentially just hell-bent on torturing them unreasonably for no reason at all.
We don't work. They're gonna kill us.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting out of this place.
Your friends try. They catch you, they make you pay.
Shoot, Detroit City Police can't catch me when I'm in overdrive.
They sometimes use the river.
They who?
Slave traders. They take us from here, away from families. They take the slaves in and by the river, a long way from their families. Like they took my wife from me. Some jump to escape. Most don't make it. Sometimes they find their bodies washed up on the shore. They find you like that. You try to run away.
And they mostly come at night. Mostly.
So you got the evil, scary white people in the woods. Be careful about them woods, boy. You go out there. Them slave traders, they just hang out, waiting for one of them runaways go through that field. Then they blast you. Don't get no funny ideas in that head of yours, boy. This is just our life. You gotta live with it. You gotta accept it. We was born slaves. We was gonna die slaves. All because them white men. That's just the way it is, boy. So, of course, he's got to find a way out. He doesn't want to live the rest of his natural life in the past. He's like, what the fuck, man? I thought it was bad living in Detroit in 1990, stealing Nintendos. But this is way worse. I got to go and seek the advice of
the magic Negro.
and see if maybe she's got some ideas as to how I can escape from this hell that I've found myself in. Because I am not prepared to live like this. This is insane.
Powerful spell came over me this morning. A vision that shook me.
The magic Negro.
I never had nothing happen to me like that before.
It's about me?
Felt it through my whole body.
The magic Negro.
And there was blood dripping from the branches of this tall tree. And I saw you bleeding in the grass under the shade of this tree. The sun was set. That's when you can go home. Find that tree as the sun is set.
That's it? I remember. I woke up in front of a tree, but there was no blood around.
There's more.
The magic Negro.
A shot rang out like thunder. It's lying there. I touched you. You reached out to me.
The magic Negro.
There's blood on my hands. Gotta help somebody and not ask for nothing in return.
Okay, for me to get home, I gotta help somebody find the tree at sunset.
The magic Negro.
So the magic Negro tells him the prophecy I saw with my magical Negro powers. A tree with blood on it. You must go to the tree. But before you can go to the tree, you must help someone without thinking about yourself. I like how that's the big quest for a black person. That's the bbig difficult quest. You have to help someone without looking for what's in it for you. Like that's, I don't know if I can do that. I'm gonna really have to rack my brain here and figure out I have to help someone without being rewarded for it. Oh, wow. I don't know and then I got it, like the tree, I can figure out the tree thing. But I gotta help someone? Oh man, that's difficult. So he has his big Negro quest is he has to help someone without getting anything out of it. And then he has to find the magical tree with blood and something. Then he can go back to the future.
For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Meanwhile, behind the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore, we got Denmark Vesey. Denmark Vesey now starting to lay out a theological reason why white genocide is okay. He's starting to explain theologically using his Bible why it's perfectly fine that they rise up and kill all the whites with this secret gathering that he has with his conspirators.
These men who call themselves master have set themselves up as false gods, and the Bible forbids us to honor them, so we must do what we are about to do.
And what is it that you're about to do? I would love it if you were just a little more explicit about that. I mean, look, that should be important, right? You're going to sit here and have this guy featured, this historic figure featured in your movie. I'm assuming blacks are meant to look up to this guy, right? Isn't that the whole thing? He's a black hero for Black History Month. This guy, I mean, look, he's gone all the way back in time, almost 200 years to experience this. So, I doubt it's I doubt you're a negative character. But what is it that you're about that you have to do that the Haitians did just a couple years prior that you're very inspired by?
We have gathered some weapons. I have blacksmiths forging more. How many men have we to arm?
At the shipyard, we've got over 100 good men, all willing to fight to the end.
John?
At the livery stable, I'm watched very carefully, but I've managed to recruit about 20 men from several plantations.
We need a much stronger force to cordon off the city and seize the arsenals to start the rebellion. Ned, how many men have you recruited?
There's only me. There's no one else I can trust. But I am watching the governor closely.
Good. Keep us informed if the governor shows any suspicions. We must know if the slave owners learn about our plans.
Your plans for what?
Josiah?
I hear talk at the marketplace. Many slaves are dissatisfied. We all want change. Using my pass, I travel the countryside. So far,
I've managed to get 30 good men.
For what?
Let us join hands.
All right. Well, they're still being kind of vague about what they need all these weapons and men for. But I'm sure it's to liberate the slaves, right? That's probably what it is. It's that they're gonna, free the slaves and sneak them up to the north or something like that, something akin to that. Certainly not genocide all the men, women, and children in the city, right? That couldn't be their secret plot. So Josiah here starts to recruit more people for this ambiguous plan that they don't really talk too much about it. It's something bad that the white people can't find out about. Something that would really piss off the white people if they found out. So, got to keep it on the down low. And some of the slaves are receptive to it, and some of them are like, I don't know. I'm scared Massa's going to find out. Then, of course, TJ is now friends with Josiah, and he finds out Josiah doesn't know how to read or write. And for the first time in TJ's life, he feels like a genius. He's like, I can kind of read and write. At least better than a slave from 1822. So I'll teach you how to read and write. And they start working on it, and he teaches him not just how to read and write, because remember, the producers of this show, they're hip and cool. They teach him how to rap too. So he can come up with a cool rap song to impress his slave girlfriend with.
Sitting on my bed late at night, thinking about your girl, and that ain't right. Wondering where you are, who you with, going crazy, girl. Yeah, I'm having a fit.
You don't understand this about life. This is life gonna start. This is where life is gonna understand.
So he does his cool rap song and totally impresses his lady. And now that he can read and write, even though it's been like a day or something, like he learns how to read and write real quick. Because that's all that was holding him back is the white man, who apparently it's very dangerous. If the white man finds out that you're trying to read and write, according to this movie, they're going to chop your hands off. Not sure why they'd chop your hands off. Seems like that would make you kind of useless, but that's apparently what they're going to do, is chop your hands off. That's why Denmark Vesey feels completely justified, though, in his plan. His very ambiguous plan to somehow free his brothers and sisters. Or at least, I don't know, he's not really being all that clear what his plan is.
20 years. Planned this rebellion, 20 years. I've traveled around the world to seek out information. Everything I have done in this life has been focused on this moment. They may know there is a plan to take the city. So we'll move up the date and still take them by surprise. That's our advantage.
But how soon?
Only I will know that. And I'll send word when it's time. Be prepared to move any day.
Okay, so they're being a little more explicit now. They're going to take the city. Still kind of vague, but they're going to take the city. Okay. And he's been planning this for 20 years. He's traveled the world. I don't know how historically accurate that part is, but he's going to take the city, and everyone needs to be ready. But he's caught wind that the white people have been hearing some shit through the grapevine. The white people are starting to be suspicious because as he's been trying to recruit black people to rise up in a insurrection, maybe some of them have been talking. And so the white people might know the date. So he decides, you know what? We'll just move the date forward. So they'll be thinking it's going to happen in 2 weeks, but it's going to happen in 1 week. We'll take them by the surprise. We have to do it now. I have low impulse control. So Josiah starts smuggling weapons in again. They're still being kind of vague about like the details of this plan. Start smuggling weapons in to the to the slaves. At least I think that's Josiah. It's hard to tell because
yeah, I know they all look alike.
No, they don't.
They pretty sure it's him. I don't know. And they keep they're telling all the slaves, don't worry guys, we're gonna do this soon. This is gonna happen sooner. And that's when TJ confides in Josiah. He's like, don't worry, man. Don't worry, man. We get out of this. I know we get out of this. This marvelous man named Martin Luther King, a communist rapist, is going to say some speeches a Jew wrote that's going to dazzle the boomers. Dazzle them so much that they're going to build monuments made in China, so it looks like he's kind of Chinese. I don't know, have you guys ever seen if you ever go to D.C. and see the Martin Luther King statue, in fact, let's in case you haven't seen it, it's pretty funny. Let's see here. I don't know why they made it in China. To save money, I guess. He totally looks Chinesey, though. Here he is. Alrighty. You would think, right? You would think they'd have a black guy. Oh, what am I saying? You would think that they'd have a black skull. Oh, that's right. That couldn't happen. We all saw what happened with Obama's painting when they tried that. So this is the Chinesey-looking sculpture. I have a dream. I have a dream. Anyway. And he's like, yeah, don't worry. It's going to be cool. And we'll all get this straightened out eventually. And Josiah's, well, how do you know all this? How do you all know all this, TJ?
I'm from the future. The reason I have 4 toes is because where I'm from, everyone does. I grew up over 100 years from now. I'm from the future.
I'm from the future.
And Josiah just kind of believes him because why wouldn't he? Then he decides to forge a pass because he can read and write, and he thinks he can escape by writing a note that if he gets stopped somewhere along the way, that he will trick those evil, stupid white people.
Morning, gents. Fun day, ain't it?
Look what we have here. Looks like this boy thinks he's free to roam the countryside, Jarvis.
I just going into town for Master Cooper. I got my pass right here.
All right, well, look what we got here, Jarvis. Look at what we got here, Jarvis. This boy thinks he's gonna trick us with him fancy letters and shit. Oh, that boy, you're sadly mistaken, boy.
And so he gets caught by the same evil white guys that apparently just all they do all day long, night and day, they just roam the countryside looking for
niggers. Yeah, we're gonna want them niggers loose.
And so they have more torture porn. Well, so he gets whipped because, they had to have it eventually. Why even have the movie if you're not going to at least have that scene? But luckily, the magic Negro, voodoo witch doctor or whoever she's supposed to be, has like a magical lotion or something that fixes his whipping wounds. And then he has a close call. The Massa, the very angry, hateful Massa, calls him in. He's curious. He's curious about this boy. He's different. He's acting funny. And he wants to know a little bit more about this purchase he made at the market.
How you feeling, boy?
Well, I've been better.
Been what?
I hurt.
The last runaway Zeke caught up with, he crippled for life. Understand?
Yes.
Master.
Yes, Master.
Are you looking at...
No, Master.
They told me you were unusually bright. You must understand, there is a certain order in this world.
Yes, you the master and I'm the slave.
And I am responsible for you. All of you, I feed you and I clothe you and I give you shelter. It's also my responsibility to discipline you when you do not obey me. Hand me that book.
Which one, sir? What's the title?
You ain't supposed to be able to read. What do you know about titles?
Oh, I likes to hear the titles of the book, sir. This sounds right good to me.
What a silly Negro.
Oh, he likes to hear the titles. That's more like it. For a second there, I thought you could read, boy. I was going to have to chops off your hands.
So he gets a book and plants it in the overseer's apartment to frame the overseer because, he's the house negro. He's the house Negro that is mean to all the other black people. So he wants to frame him and have the Massa find the book and flip out on him. But unfortunately, what he doesn't realize is the book that he decided to choose, now that he taught Josiah how to read in like a day, Josiah has left a love letter to his girlfriend in the book. And so when Massa finds the book, he finds the love letter and can decipher the newly acquired skill of writing of Josiah, and goes to find Josiah and teach him a thing or two about taking books from Massa.
How did you get this book? Answer me.
I don't know.
stole this book from my library.
No, sir. I don't take nothing. You don't give me that. No. No, sir. I wouldn't take nothing from you.
Oh, shit.
Josiah.
Oh, shit. Shit. Did you write this note, Josiah? Well, sir, I guess I did, sir. Oh, well, you know what that means. More torture porn. While Dixie plays in the background.
You gotta tell me it's whooping you real bad.
I'm sorry you made me do that. You made me do that, boy. I want you to know this is hurting me more than it's hurting you. You gotta learn how to behave yourself, boy. Taking Massa's books and learning how to read. You're lucky I didn't chop off your hands. So they start to heal him up with the magic sauce. And TJ is obviously devastated. But Josiah tells him, well, now that I'm incapacitated, now that Massa has beat me silly, I'm not going to be able to make it to the secret meetings that Denmark Vesey has. So I'm going to need you to go to Denmark Vesey and let him know why I'm not going to be going to the secret meeting. And TJ says, okay, I'll do that. What are these secret meetings about, by the way? I don't know. Maybe he'll say.
Brothers and sisters, the moment of our destiny draws near. We are no different than the children of Israel in Egypt's land. Just as the God of Moses delivered his Hebrew children from bondage, he is ready to set free his African people. Today, we are prepared for battle. We will win the struggle for our freedom. We move forward in the strength of his great power.
Great power.
For we are now the chosen people.
Hey, vey.
Kill Whitey!
All right, so now that he's whipped himself up in a murderous rage, TJ talks to him and he's like, "Oh, that was a great pep talk. You're still being kind of vague. A little bit. I mean, I'm starting to get it now. I'm starting to get a little bit what you mean, but you're still not being all that explicit about what all these weapons and whatever." But anyway, Josiah said that he can't make it. Massa whipped him pretty good. I know it's my fault. I taught him how to read. You know how those whiteys get when you teach people how to read. They fly off the handle. It was, Josiah, he's lucky to be alive, quite frankly. I haven't seen Massa that mad since, never really. He was quite perturbed. And Denmark's like, well, don't worry. Massa's gonna get his. Wink, wink. Winkety, winky, wink. So later that night, or I don't know, that week, doesn't really matter. The day of the big insurrection that Denmark Vesey has planned. The white people, they know about it now. They're like, ho ho ho! We will crush these Negroes, these silly Negroes, and their little insurrection they have planned. But they still have the day wrong. And they are going to be very surprised by Denmark Vesey's attack because they're not expecting it for like another week or so. Meanwhile, TJ tells Josiah that I got to make it back home. But I'll try to help you as much as I can. I'm still trying to do my quest. My Negro quest of helping people in a way that doesn't somehow serve me. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. It's been a real mind teaser, but I'm sure I'll think of something. And then that's when Josiah tells him, oh, well, that's cool. Hey, by the way, what we're planning is an insurrection. And we've changed the day because the white people are wise to it. But then the overseer Negro, the house Negro, overhears it. And he's like, what? What? They're going to overthrow Massa? But I likes Massa. Massa lets me go to the big house. Massa lets me go to the big house and wear the fancy clothes. I better tell Massa. And so their plan has been discovered thanks to the traitor. Meanwhile, Denmark Vesey, completely unaware that their plan has been discovered, he's making the final arrangements for the big genocide that he has planned.
How many men are committed now?
150, and we'll pick up more as we move through the streets.
Good. John?
At least 100.
Josiah will meet his men outside of Charleston.
Are you sure Josiah got the message?
I'm sure. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? My chosen men, go now and do what has to be done.
Kill Whitey!
That's what has to be done. So, the House Negro tells Massa that they have changed the day and that he better watch out because Denmark Vesey he's got hundreds of Negroes ready to go, and the day of reckoning is coming. But TJ overhears this, and he goes to try to warn the slaves that, hey, you better cancel the whole genocide thing because the white people know about it. And they're like, God damn, we were just about the genocide. Man, what? Every time we try to genocide, it never works out. God damn it. And so according to the movie, we'll discuss what really happened in a moment. According to the movie, all the slaves were like, well, in that case, I guess we're not going to genocide now because this guy from the future overheard that the whites knew what was up and came and warned us that Whitey was going to be ready. And so genocide, the purge isn't going to go how we expected. So instead of genociding all the whites, we'll just go run away. We'll just be runaway slaves. All of us, instead of genociding the whites. And while the slaves are running away, again, this is the science fiction-y part of the movie, TJ finally figures out a way that he can selflessly help someone. When Massa shows up and sees the slaves running away, he distracts Massa and draws Massa away from the slaves that are running so that Massa will go after him.
Yeah, nigga, you's a dead motherfucker now.
As I look up at the sky, my mind starts tripping, a tear drops my eye. My body temperature falls. I'm shaking and they breaking, trying to save the dough. Pumping on my chest and I'm screaming. I stop breathing, damn, I see demons. Dear God, I wonder, can you save me? I can't die, my boo-boo's about to have my baby.
Back with us. You alright? How you feeling? TJ, man, it's me, Crunch.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
Crunch, glad to see you. All right.
Oh, and he's finally back in the future. He finally got back to the future, and it was all, was it all just a bad dream? Now that he's back in Detroit in 1990, was it all just a bad dream? He was shot just a second ago, but no, the magic negress, her prophecy, it was fulfilled because he had to do the selfless act and then end up at that tree with blood on it, and so now it all makes sense. He was able to travel back in time to the future now that he's experienced this, and now he's learned an important lesson that education is important and that black history is important and that he needs to learn more about black historical figures. And so he decided to tell his black scholar friend what happened and tell him about how he's changed now because of this magical experience that he's had.
I was back in Charleston. I was back in 1822, man. I was a slave. Right, homie, right. I'm telling you, man, it was worse than what you read about. I mean, we were treated like animals. Josiah got whipped because of a book. A book. Who's Josiah? He and Caroline got away. I know they did. Caroline? Yeah, they were friends of mine, man. I helped them escape. How'd you get away? Mortilla told me. Mortilla? I wonder if Denmark. Denmark Vesey? You met Denmark Vesey? Man, get real. Crunch. When it crunches. I am serious. I was as close to him as I am to you right now. He could have gone to the North for freedom, man. But he decided to stay. Decided to stay and help his people. To help all of us.
What about your business?
I ain't about that anymore, man. I mean, you should have seen these people. They were risking their lives just to read. They were risking their lives for freedom.
See, man, that's what I've been trying to tell you. You can't deal with the future unless you know your past.
No, Crunch.
When it crunches.
You know a lot about history and all, right? What happened to Denmark and the rest?
They didn't make it, man. They were lynched.
They didn't make it, man. They were lynched. Okay. So the end of this movie is that Denmark VC, they never really clarify what his plan was. It was just some kind of plan that involved freedom or something. Weapons, Charleston. Well, a little loose on the details. And when the plot was discovered, Denmark was the bigger man. He decided he's going to stay and help his people. But Captain Crunch over here says, "Oh, man, I know my black history. He got lynched." He got lynched for what exactly? He got lynched, and then they walk off into the sunset. Like that's literally the end. Interesting. Except for that's bullshit. So what really happened was some slaves that had heard about the genocide, the impending genocide, did rat out Denmark Vesey, and the plot was stopped. They were not lynched. They were taken into custody, the conspirators. A court was convened. They were questioned in the presence of their masters, and in the instances where the masters had lawyers, the lawyers would also be there. They had judges. They had official proceedings. It's all recorded, and as are the confessions of some of the conspirators, talking about some of the details of the conspiracy. And a lot of this is recorded in a Negro plot, an account of the late intended insurrection among the blacks. There's also like a lot of local newspapers and stuff that you can find accounts of this. This first blip I'm going to play is this is an AI voiceover of, word for word, the account, part of it talking about their discovery, what they did to try to protect the town once they found out that the blacks had intended to rise up and kill everyone in Charleston and then hijack a ship to Haiti. And they talk about the courts and stuff they set up after apprehending the conspirators. And then we're going to have a couple clips that are transcripts of the confessions.
On Sunday, the 16th, at 10 o'clock at night, the following corps were ordered to rendezvous for guard: Captain Cattell's Corps of Hussars, Captain Miller's Light Infantry, Captain Martindale's Neck Rangers, Charleston Riflemen, City Guard. The whole were organized as a detachment and placed under the command of Colonel R.Y. Hayne. Although there was necessarily great excitement, and among the female part of our community much alarm, yet the night passed off without anything like commotion or disturbance, and it is peculiarly honorable to the corps on service that in a populous town the streets filled until a late hour with persons, uncertain whether it was safe to go to rest or not. Not a single case of false alarm was excited. A steadiness, altogether praiseworthy, in troops unaccustomed to guard duty, at least on an occasion involving such deep interest and distressing anxiety. The conspirators, finding the whole town encompassed at 10 o'clock by the most vigilant patrols, did not dare to show themselves, whatever might have been their plans. In the progress of the subsequent investigation, it was distinctly in proof that but for these military demonstrations, the effort would unquestionably have been made. That a meeting took place on Sunday afternoon, the 16th, at 4 o'clock, of several of the ringleaders at Denmark Vesey's, for the purpose of making their preliminary arrangements, and that early in the morning of Sunday, Denmark dispatched a courier to order down some country Negroes from Goose Creek, which courier had endeavored in vain to get out of town. No development of the plot having been made on Sunday night, and the period having passed, to dwell. Their generous devotion and unremitting assiduity to the public interests and safety are left to more appropriate appreciation of a community that witnessed their labors. This committee consisted of Messrs. Wesner, Napier, Condy, Berger, and Simmons, and were zealously aided by the rest of the wardens, and for its service, 4 of the most active, intelligent, and confidential non-commissioned officers of the city guard were detached as police officers to search suspected places and to apprehend those for whom warrants might be issued. This committee commenced its labours on the night of the 17th, and during the ensuing 24 hours, the following slaves were committed: Roller, Bateau, Matthias, and Ned, the property of the Governor Bennett; Mungo and Peter, the property of James Poyas; Amherst, the property of Mrs. Lining; Stephen, the property of T.R. Smith; Richard and John, the property of Jonathan Lucas. On the morning of the 19th of June, the Court of Magistrates and Freeholders assembled at the courthouse were sworn in and proceeded to the arraignment of the above prisoners for trial, who were charged with attempting to raise an insurrection among the blacks against the whites. In order that the public may understand the offence as defined in the Act of 1740, the clause at length will be found in the appendix, marked A, before we proceed to a brief, and it necessarily must be very brief, abstract of the testimony offered in the cases brought before the court. It may not be unimportant to observe that previous to their proceeding to the painful investigation with which they were charged, they laid down a variety of rules for their government, all of them subservient to justice as well as humanity. In the first place, it was decided that the testimony should be regulated by those established rules of evidence which are elsewhere found so important in the exposition of truth, that no slave should be tried but in the presence of his master or his attorney, that the testimony of one witness, unsupported by circumstances, should lead to no conviction involving capital punishment, and that the statement of the party himself should be heard in explanation of such particulars as seemed most inculpatory.
Wow, that sounds like a lynching. Sounds like a lynching, right? Just a bunch of white people going and lynching someone. Now, so what happened was the white people, finding out that they were going to be attacked, gathered up a bunch of men and encircled the town and had guards running all over the place. The black people that were going to attack pushed out, and then they went and rounded up the people that they suspected were part of the conspiracy, and they brought them to the courthouse with judges, and they swore them in, and in the presence of their owners, or the owners, in some cases, in the document that I read, the owners and the owner's lawyer, they got some testimony. Here is an excerpt from one of the witnesses. And again, you might also remember what he said about the testimony not leading to capital punishment if it was unsupported by other evidence or by other testimony. So you couldn't have this, and this is being pretty fair. You know, if you had someone say, oh, Mongo, which is I thought was kind of hilarious. One of them's named Mongo. Mongo was going to kill all the whiteys. Well, they couldn't just put Mongo to death unless they had other independent testimony that supported this or other evidence that supported that. So, and they did put a lot of the conspirators to death because they ended up with a lot of testimony and other supporting evidence. And here is some of that testimony now.
The court, being thus organized, they proceeded to the trial of Roller, the slave of Governor Bennett, Jacob Axon, Esquire, attending as attorney of his master. It was proved that Roller had confessed to 2 persons, both of whom were examined by the court, that he belonged to the conspiracy, and with one of these witnesses, his friend, he used every effort to induce him to join in the insurrection, which Roller stated was to take place on the night of the 16th of June. Finding that this friend, the witness in question, would not join the association, he urged him to go out of town on Sunday night, lest some harm should come to him. Roller represented himself as the commander of the force, which was to rendezvous in the vicinity of his master's mills, and explained to the witness fully the order of attack, the division of the forces, and said that his troops, in their way into town, would fix his old buck, his master, and the intendant. On being asked whether it was intended to kill the women and children, he remarked, "When we have done with the men, we know what to do with the women." On this testimony, Rolla was found guilty and sentenced to be executed on the 2nd of July. Examination of Sally, a Negro woman belonging to Mr. Alexander Howard. I know Jesse and heard him speak several times about it. One day in particular, he was anxious to see his brother, who has my mother for his wife, and waited until he came, when they conversed together. Jesse said he had got a horse to go into the country, to bring down men to fight the white people, that he was allowed to pass by 2 parties of the patrol on the road, but that a 3rd party had brought him back, and that if there were but 5 men like him, they would destroy the city. This was on last Sunday week, the 16th June, he said, that before 3 o'clock that night, all the white people would be killed, that if any person informed or would not join in the fight, such person would be killed or poisoned. He frequently came into the yard to see his brother, and I threatened to inform if he came there and spoke in that way to get us all into trouble. We never had any quarrel. Examination of Frank, a Negro man belonging to Mrs. Ferguson. The party which was to land on South Bay was to take the guardhouse and get arms, and then they would be able to go on. That the attack was to commence about 12 o'clock at night. That great numbers would come from all about, and it must succeed, as so many were engaged in it. That they would kill all the whites. That they would leave their masters' houses and assemble near the lines, march down and meet the party which would land on South Bay. That he was going to send a man into the country on a horse, to bring down the country people, and that he would pay for the horse. He gave $2 to Jesse to get the horse on Saturday week last, 15th June, about 1 o'clock in the day, and myself and witness, number 8, also put in 25 cents apiece, and he told Jesse, if he could not go, he must send someone else. I have seen Ned Bennett at Veazey's. I one night met at Veazey's a great number of men, and as they came in, they each handed him some money. Veazey said there was a little man named Jack who could not be killed and who would furnish them with arms. He had a charm and would lead them, that Charles Drayton had promised to be engaged with them. Veazey said the Negroes were living such an abominable life, they ought to rise. I said I was living well. He said, though I was, others was not, and that it was such fools as I that were in their way and would not help them, and that after all things were well, he would mark me. He said he did not go with Crichton to Africa, because he had not a will. He wanted to stay and see what he could do for his fellow creatures. I met Ned, Monday, and others, at Denmark Veazey's, where they were talking about this business.
So they admit, they have 2 witnesses that admit that they're going to kill all the whites. In fact, one of them implies they're going to rape all the women after they kill all the men. And the other one implies that they will kill all the women and the children. And why would you not believe them? Denmark Veazey was inspired by what happened in Haiti. That's what happened in Haiti. In Haiti, the slave revolt that happened in Haiti, that Denmark Veazey, the star of this after-school special, what inspired him was the slaves in Haiti killing every last white person in Haiti. And that's what Denmark Veazey was trying to accomplish in Charleston, South Carolina. You know, the great hero of this after-school special for Black History Month. Here's another witness.
Confession of Jesse, the slave of Thomas Blackwood, Esquire, furnished to the court by the Reverend Dr. D. Hall. I was invited to Denmark Veazey's house, and when I went, I found several men met together, among whom was Ned Bennett, Peter Poyas, and others, whom I did not know. Denmark opened the meeting by saying he had an important secret to communicate to us, which we must not disclose to anyone, and if we did, we should be put to instant death. He said we were deprived of our rights and privileges by the white people, and that our church was shut up so that we could not use it, and that it was high time for us to seek for our rights, and that we were fully able to conquer the whites if we were only unanimous and courageous, as the St. Domingo people were. He then proceeded to explain his plan by saying that they intended to make the attack by setting the governor's mills on fire, and also some houses near the water, and as soon as the bells began to ring for fire, that they should kill every man as he came out of his door, and that the servants in the yards should do it, and that it should be done with axes and clubs, and afterwards they should murder the women and children, for he said, God had so commanded it in the scriptures. At another meeting at Denmark's, Ned Bennett and Peter Poyas and several others were present in conversation. Some said they thought it was cruel to kill the ministers and the women and children, but Denmark Vesey said he thought it was for our safety, not to spare one white skin alive, for this was the plan they pursued in St. Domingo. He then said to me, Jesse, I want you to go into the country, to enlist as many of the country Negroes as possible, to be in readiness to come down to assist us. I told him I had no horse and no money to hire one. He then took out $2 and gave them to me to hire a horse and told me to enlist as many as possible. I got the horse the next Sabbath and started, but the guard was so strict I could not pass them without being taken up. So I returned and told Denmark, at which he expressed his sorrow and said the business was urgent, for they wanted the country people to be armed, that they might attack the forts at the same time, and also to take every ship and vessel in the harbour, and to put every man to death, except the captains. For, said he, it will not be safe to stay in Charleston, for as soon as they had got all the money out of the banks, and the goods out of the stores on board, they intended to sail for St. Domingo, for he had a promise that they would receive and protect them. This Jesse asserted to me was the truth, whilst the tears were running down his cheeks, and he appeared truly penitent, and I have reason to hope that he obtained pardon from God through the merits of Christ, and was prepared to meet his fate with confidence, and that he was accepted of God. At 4 o'clock in the morning of the execution, I visited all the prisoners condemned, and found Jesse at prayers. He told me his mind was placid and calm. He then assured me that what he had told me was the truth, and that he was prepared to meet his God.
So there you go. You had lots of testimony and evidence that they were planning on, again, a genocide, killing every white person in all of Charleston. And like, look, you could say it was a harebrained scheme that was never going to work, but I bet the people in Haiti might have thought that had they caught wind of a plot. It might have seemed ridiculous that the slaves would be able to rise up and kill every single one of them. And had they not been vigilant that night and arranged for a guard to protect the city, who knows what would have happened. But we all know how history would have recorded it. Well, not how it would be recorded, but how they would retell it. How about that? But this is one of the great heroes, apparently, in 1990 that they chose to highlight in their after-school white guilt torture porn special. And it's a little surprising that they decided to do Denmark Vesey, but I mean, maybe not. Maybe not, right? Maybe not. Brother Future. Brother Future. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Brother Future. So, anyway. Hope you enjoyed that little walk into the past. And that's the great thing about a lot of this stuff is, thanks to the internet, we have the ability to search out a lot of these original sources, a lot of these original documents, because in 1990 you could just say, oh, and then he was lynched because he was there to help his people. Unless you really, I mean, I don't even know, even if you went to the library, there's a really good chance they wouldn't have, depending on where you lived in the country, there's a really good chance they wouldn't have any of the documentation that would tell you otherwise. You'd probably have some Jewish written history. I mean, it's 1990, so you probably, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad probably had some textbook in the library that told you a completely different version of things, a version that more closely aligned with Brother Future, and that's if you're lucky. That's if you're lucky. And I'm sure now, if you were to confront modern historians with not just some of these summaries of the trials and the confessions and the news reports of the day, they would say it's all lies, right? It's all lies. Lies to cover their crimes. That the white people just made all that shit up. Because the default position is always that white people are evil. The default position is that your ancestors were a bunch of craven, sadistic fucks that behaved in the way that these cartoonish white people in this movie behaved. That's what they had to have black people believe. That's what the average black person alive today believes. And in fact, you could say that's really what the average white person alive today believes. This is the kind of story that white parents, white boomer parents, would have sat their white kids in front of the television to watch, and afterwards they would have said, yeah, well, you know, it was a dark stain in our history. And look, I'm not pro-slavery. I think slavery was a really bad idea for a lot of reasons. But the idea that white people were just going around torturing blacks for no reason, first of all, it doesn't even make any sense. Because if black people are the, farm equipment for your farm, and they cost apparently $750, which, we all know that's ridiculous, but they're not cheap, and there's a big investment in maintaining them, like any other farm equipment. You have to house them and feed them. And in fact, many of the blacks, one of the reasons why this probably failed is many of the blacks refused to do it because they didn't, as that testimony that we went over just a moment ago, that one slave said, it's not that bad. I don't see what the big problem, like why you're so full of rage, Mr. VC. So there you go. According to anyone that would have watched this film in 1990, he was just trying to free slaves, and then when they found out he was going to try to free the slaves, they lynched him. That's the way that it would be taught, most likely in a high school, if they ever covered this story too. Really in a college, most likely. In fact, my guess is now, if you go to college and take some black history or black studies class or whatever, that is probably the version they give you, is that he was this great leader, this learned man, this educated, freed slave that wanted to, free his brothers and sisters, and that he was lynched for it. But that's not what happened at all. And anyway, thought it was an interesting story. And it's a story I'd never heard of. And I'm sure there's a lot of other instances like this. There's probably a lot of stories that we do hear about. And maybe we need to start revisiting and looking at the original documentation, especially when they say, oh, they were lynched. Because there was no lynching at all, in fact, that happened in this instance. When you could argue that a lynching would be appropriate. Like in the case of, what's his face, the ADL guy. The knife-wielding rapist. So, anyway,